Hi, Cathy. I'm excited to be here with you today. Um,
Yeah, I am too. Our first one.
I know. And hey, everybody, my name is Mike Hurd, and
Oh, and
um,
I'm Kathy Casey.
and we are going to. I'm going to ask Cathy at least one question, maybe more today, and we're going to get into a discussion and see where it goes. How's that sound, Cathy?
Sounds like fun. As a friend of mine used to say, stump the speaker. I'm ready.
Okay. So today is Monday, and historically, much of my life. I have not, I would even go to the extent that could say that I have hated Mondays. And it's not the same experience for me today. I don't hate Mondays, but I certainly don't love them. And I don't know, there are some Mondays that are better than others, but I still have that old feeling of, I don't know, almost um, I don't know, it just feels like it's a different day of the week for me.
Yeah,
It feels
yeah, yeah,
completely different.
yeah.
So I'm curious in your experience, what do you make of that?
As you were talking about how you hate Mondays, I remember I had surgery and I was talking to the nurse who was doing prepping me for surgery. And I said, "So are you just starting your day?" And he says, "Oh no, I'm at the end of my shift, and it's my Friday." And I said, "Oh," and I immediately knew what that meant. It's his Friday, that means he's going to get a few days off. And it struck me how we assign kind of how we're going to be depending on the day of the week, so when you talk to people like Monday, they're all kind of, yeah, it's Monday. Oh God, people are not really happy about Mondays. But as you get closer to Friday, it's like you can feel the mood shift. I used to work in a couple of companies. You can feel the mood shift by the end of the week. So Monday, everybody's kind of down and the energy is low, and you just can feel it. And then as you get closer to Friday, especially if it's a payday, that makes it even more. I mean, then all of a sudden people are in a good mood. People are, they're happy. It's almost like if you looked at the same person on Monday as to Friday, you wouldn't think they were the same person. I mean, that's how much how we are tied into days of the week as to how we're going to be. Now, what's up with that? Like, where does that come from? Well, actually, time is neutral. I mean, even the clock is a made up way of measuring time, but there's no up or down, right or left to time at all, let alone days of the week or hours in the day. So if you're on vacation, say you're on vacation and part of the vacation you're on a Monday, what happens to that Monday feeling when you're on vacation? Because you won't have the same experience on a Monday if you're on vacation. So so what is the variable here? Like what changes? Is it the day or is it something else that's creating the experience of Monday? Because obviously when we're on vacation, we're not going to go, "Oh, it's Monday." Oh, especially if you're in Hawaii or you're just having a great time and you have another 2 weeks to go back to work. So the Monday is going to be different. Well, what's the variable? Well, guess what the variable is? It's where our thinking is. It's what we create in our own thinking that creates the experience of Monday because it does change. If it's a holiday, if Monday is a holiday, well, we don't have that, "Oh, it's Monday." No, we're upbeat, we're happy. It's different, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely.
so
I was just
that's
thinking,
what
vacation Monday feels completely different, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So again, what's the variable? It's not the actual day of the week. It's the meaning you're making of the day in your own mind. It's how you're using thought. And not just on what day of the week it is. We use thought to make up all kinds of ideas. Like my other favorite one, many times when I teach in the corporate world, or I'm a consultant in the corporate world, I'll ask many of them, these are successful people, when was the last time you experienced your Sunday? And they're like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, where you're in your Sunday, but you're physically in your Sunday, but your mind is already in the next week. How many of you have that experience? The whole room raised their hand. We're talking about 60 people. I said, so isn't it a shame that we have Sunday, we have a whole day, and we create this heaviness or anticipation, whatever you want to call that, about the next week, and we totally miss enjoying Sunday. Well, what's up with that? Like, why would we do that? But we're so used to doing it, we don't even think that we're doing it. Another thing I asked a lot of these folks who are just sitting in front of me in this room, I asked them, how many of you sitting here right with me right now, and you have at least 10 things on your mind, like right this moment? And they're all looking at me like, and I said, and I won't take it personally. And they all raised their hand. I said, how many have at least 8? And a lot of hands. One guy said, I think I have 25. And I said, yeah, isn't it amazing? We walk around with all this stuff in our head and we think it's the job in front of us, and I know you all people have a lot on their plate. They have families, the job, the commute, finances, you name it, it's going on. But it's all the thinking we have about that stuff. That's what's creating the stress. That's what's creating the pressure. And that's what's creating that low feeling of Monday. It's amazing how we as human beings can use this amazing gift, for lack of a better word, because with thought, you can create anything you want. So you could be in a Monday and be thinking you're on vacation on a Monday. I mean, literally, if your thoughts were different. And I'm not saying you should pretend you're on vacation to make you have a better Monday. I'm just wanting you to reflect on the variable that your Monday feeling isn't coming from the day of the week, or not being in your Sunday is not coming from you're thinking about the future, your experience of Sunday. It's not coming from that the week's going to start pretty soon. I
Right.
want people to just consider it's where your mind is. That's where the feeling, that's where your experience is always coming from, no matter what you're thinking about. My other favorite thing to talk about, and I do this with groups, and maybe you could try this in your own life or reflect on this yourself, but think of the funny things that can happen when your mind is not present. So, for example, I've heard people say when they drive to work and they have the same route every day, they have the same route, but all of a sudden they miss their exit, and now they're past their exit and they have to turn around and sit in more traffic to get into work. Many people do that. I heard another story where a guy, this is back in the days when you would pump your own gas. And many times, again, I heard this many times, somebody would go ahead and pump their gas and then go in and pay for it, come back out and drive off with the pump still in their tank, drive off with the whole thing and tear it out of I mean, it's a disaster, right?
I've heard of that happening before, yeah.
And they've had to redesign so that they pop out because they were damaging so many pumps. So again, the funny things that happen when we're not present. A common one. Have you ever walked into another room and you don't remember why you walked in there? Or have you ever gone around and you can't find your glasses? You look everywhere. And the best one yet, I heard this a number of times, where people are frantically looking for their phone. And while they're talking to somebody, so they're on their phone talking to somebody, and they're like, where's my phone? Where's my phone? And they've got
Right.
the phone in their hand. So again, it's just amazing how lost in thought we can get, or how much meaning we can give to things outside of us that we think is coming from the day of the week versus it's just coming from where my thinking is. So now when I'm in my Sundays, of course I know it's Sunday, but I'm in my Sunday and whatever's going to happen in that day, as opposed to thinking ahead. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't plan ahead for appointments, not plan ahead for projects, not plan ahead for your workload or your family. But what we tend to do is we don't leave it. We can plan and make schedules, but then we carry them in our mind. Have you ever had something in your mind and it's all like I used to I used to fly a lot. So I'd figure out the flights. I get everything set, the hotel reservation, the plane reservation, everything's all set. But then I replay it in my mind at least 10 more times.
Mm.
I keep replaying it. And one day I realized I saw myself doing that. Why am I redoing? Why do I have to keep thinking about something that's already done? But I kept again and again. And the funny thing is like, what is the purpose of that? If anything, it was keeping me up at night because that's I would think about the night ahead of time. All right, did I make the flight? Did I do it? And of course you did all of that. So the point of this idea, Michael, why do you hate Mondays? You set that up for yourself. How old do you think you were when you first started hating Mondays? Like when do you think that started?
Yeah, my guess it was when I started working.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And do you think you came up with it on your own, or do you think you started noticing other people doing it?
Oh, I'm sure. I definitely remember people looking forward to the
Yeah, yeah,
weekends.
yeah,
Um, it was a it was an environment where it was a 6-day work week and Sundays was the day off.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and yeah, no, everybody was living for the weekend.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And I hear people who don't start work that, there most people are Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. That used to be the old
Mm,
kind of work schedule. Those days are over, especially since COVID happened. But
mhm,
many times people who are doing shift work, they'll say, oh, this is my Monday, or this is my Friday. They still identify with the traditional days of the week.
mhm,
So for any of
mhm,
you all listening to this, I'm not saying you should try not to think about, Monday, to pretend that it's another day. I'm not saying that. I just want you to start to appreciate that the day of the week is not giving you that experience. It's just where your mind goes and the meaning you're making about what Monday means. Because what if we started getting paid on Monday? So even though, Monday's the day of the week, but if you're getting paid on Monday, that could change it also because we all love getting paid. So again, it's really our thinking. And no matter what, that's just one example of every moment of your life that you're doing that
mm,
over and over, literally thinking our way through our day. We're thinking our way
mm,
through our day. So Monday thinking, Friday
mm,
thinking, no,
mhm,
it's just thinking. And we're the ones who add that variable to it. We put the
mm,
flavor on it and then we experience it. And that
yeah.
it's so simple, but yet very profound. So again, maybe, who knows, just consider this. And if you're in that Monday through Friday mode where you do have this whole thing about Monday versus Fridays, and if you tend to think that way, just consider what we're talking about here. Just consider, well, wait a minute, what is this? What's the deal about that? Like you were saying, Mike, why do I hate Mondays? What, and I never considered questioning that because Monday to me meant the beginning of the week, stack of work, and I have to wait 5 days to get off. That was it every week. And so my state of mind was tied to what day of the week it was.
Mm,
Now that's really that could hold all of us up. And when you think about it, just that one little thing can hold us up. So I think that's kind of how I see it.
yeah, and not only can it hold us up, but the opposite is true too. When we understand what's really behind it, there's a lot of freedom in that.
Absolutely. And there are days where I will say, oh, it's Monday. Like when Michael and I, when we were talking about wanting to do our first taping, like what we're doing right now, Michael said, well, let's do one on Monday. And I actually said, really? You want to do this on a Monday? I actually went there. And then it's hit me, well, it doesn't matter. It's a Monday, and I just sort of laughed at myself because it's just such a habit we've had
Mm,
about
that's a
how
great
we
way of
see
framing it.
Monday.
It's a
Yeah, yeah.
habit. Yeah,
It's just such a habit. And even though the days of the week don't matter to me anymore, they really don't matter anymore. But I went there. I just
Mm,
went there very quickly. And then I said, no, Michael, we can do this on a Monday. What am I thinking?
mhm,
What am I thinking?
mhm,
So it's so easy to slip into that. So yeah, so I would suggest just notice that. Don't try to change it. Just notice how we bring meaning to things, whether it's the day of the week or people in our lives or situations like traffic or anything out there. If you could consider the variable is where your thinking is. That's what's
mm.
giving you the experience. So I think that I'd like to end it there.
Great. Yeah. Thank you, Kathy.